What's poppin', everyone? Tara Lynch here with the next big thing, the videocast that shares all things infotainment. Want to learn how to be a reporter from your home? Well, Isa Gutierrez from NBC LX joins us to chat. And of course, we go over this week's top stories and trends. Let's jump right in. We begin with our trends and news this week. Governments across the country are feeling the heat from residents who are looking to get back to normal. Some states are relaxing social distancing orders and opening hair salons, tattoo parlors, and some restaurants. But what are other states doing? Well, Governor Andrew Cuomo in New York is not planning to reopen anytime soon. And out west, after a weekend of hot temperatures that drew crowds to the beaches, this is what California Governor Gavin Newsom had to say.
If we pull back too quickly and we walk away from our incredible commitment to not only bend this curve, but to stop the spread and suppress the spread of this virus, it could start a second wave that could be even more damaging than the first and undo all of the good work and progress that you've made. And that can happen like this.
Moving on to our trend in travel, JetBlue Airlines is making headlines this week with a new protocol to fight COVID-19. They're requiring all passengers to wear protective face masks while flying. This new rule hopes to defend against the virus since passengers are seated so close together. The airline has required all of their crew members to wear these protective coverings and are now extending these measures to the passengers. Joining them next week will be American Airlines, who is creating a new rule that all of their crew members need to wear these masks. Let's talk trends online. There are so many new digital platforms that look to bring information to millennials and Generation Z. One of those platforms is NBC LX, which provides local but long-form content to this generation. Today I'm joined by Isa Gutierrez, who is a reporter for LX. Isa, thanks so much for coming to chat today.
Thanks so much for having me, Tara.
So let's just begin. We can see that you are home right now. Due to COVID-19, you've been reporting from your house. What has that process been like?
It's definitely been a challenge. So I actually usually report out of New York City, and I live in Queens, which is the epicenter of the epicenter. So I actually, when all of this started, I was really lucky to be able to get out of the city. I'm currently in Ohio right now with my partner's family. And so it's been a challenge trying to figure out how to still report, still turn content at a time when, it's really necessary and people want to know what's going on. I've been filming everything on my phone, which is definitely new. I've been trying to be creative, trying to kind of, take it as an opportunity to try new things. I got a ring light that I'm using right now. Just kind of these different gadgets that have helped me work from home. I got something called a gimbal, which is a device that I can put my phone on and kind of like use with my hand, which has been helpful too with more of that like personal storytelling. So yeah, it's definitely been a challenge, but I've found ways to make it work, especially right now when we really need to be doing what we're doing.
Gimbals are a great tool, I have to say. I use those myself, so big fan of those. But what kinds of stories have you been covering with LX so far? You joined in January, now we're in April, so what types of stories have been your favorites to cover?
Yeah, so like you said earlier, what we're really trying to focus on, especially as the storytellers on the NBC LX team, is stories that millennials and Gen Z are going to be interested and kind of get passionate about. So we're not just doing stories that are like glossing over topics. We're really trying to get into the meat of things and explain to you and help guide you through why things are the way that they are. So right now during the pandemic, what that's looked like is doing stories like how can your pets be affected by coronavirus and bringing my own pets into that storytelling, or stories about breaking down and understanding what all of the different names that we hear for COVID-19 mean. So COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, coronavirus, what are the differences there? What are the different agencies that we should be going to for official information? Kind of breaking down and helping people understand how to process information during this very confusing and very scary scary time. So that's been a lot of what I've been doing during quarantine. I just started reporting in this job in January, so there wasn't that much time between when I started my job and when all of this happened and we were in quarantine. But before quarantine, I was able to also do some really visually compelling stories with some great camera folk who went out with me into the field about restaurants, about cool recycling initiatives in the city, all sorts of fun stories, some of which I'm still working on and editing during this time, during the stay-at-home order.
You've definitely worked on a variety of different stories. I've enjoyed following your journey through NBC LX. But for those that maybe aren't familiar with your work, you are actually bilingual. So you've covered stories in both English and Spanish. How have you been able to bring these important stories to both English and non-English speaking communities?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad that you brought that up. We've seen in the news in the last few weeks how this pandemic in particular has really hit communities of color and minorities especially hard. And in those communities, it is super important that they're getting information that they need to protect their families and to ensure their safety. And that's not always super readily available. I know Telemundo does an amazing job and we work a lot with them. I wanted to make sure that I was a part of that too, and taking advantage of my native language to help be a part of that information that was going out there. So during quarantine, I've turned a lot of my stories in Spanish as well. A lot of those kind of like information explanation stories that I was mentioning to you, I've done in Spanish. So I write my script in English, film it in English, and then once that's ready, I kind of flip it all and work with Telemundo to make sure that that it all makes sense and that it all translates. And then I film them in Spanish too. And it's really great. It's cool for me too, because it's an opportunity for my grandparents in South America to see my work and understand it for the first time in a really long time. And so yeah, it's a great opportunity and definitely something that is needed right now.
It is definitely needed, especially as the pandemic progresses. For me, I've enjoyed watching both your English and Spanish reporting. I'm a Spanish minor myself, so it's helping me to learn how to report in a different language. So I appreciate those stories, and I'm looking forward to watching more as you continue with NBC LX.
Thanks so much, Tara. And make sure that whoever's watching, follow NBC LX on social media. We're on all of the platforms, and very soon we'll be launching our TV network as well. It'll be full of really cool content that you will want to check out. So, and you can follow me at Isa NBC as well. I'll be posting a lot of NBC LX content too. Thanks so much for having me, Tara.
Thank you for joining me. And as I said, we're all excited to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Let's move on to look at the trends we love this week. The NFL draft did more than discover the next young talent for the league. It shattered viewer ratings. Now, the first round averaged 15.6 million viewers. That's a lot of eyeballs on the screen. The first virtual draft felt more like a house party, going from the commission's basement to players in their homes. This also made it a family affair with general managers and coaches, including their children, in on the live shots. And even one canine got in on it. Patriots head coach Bill Belichick's dog, Nike, made a selection for the team as well. Could this be the new way of virtual sports? If you're stuck in the house and missing your favorite Broadway performances or TV shows, well, we've got you covered. Stars in the House is an online virtual reunion show that gathers some of your favorite stars in the same place. The organizers have aired these on the Actors Fund YouTube channel, and the shows also serve as a fundraiser for that organization. Catch new episodes every day at 2 and 8 p.m. Today, if you have some time, in just a few hours at 2, it's Variety Thursday, and later tonight, catch your favorite child stars from the 80s in Throwback Thursday. And speaking of show reunions, last week the Disney Channel cast of So Random and Sunny with a Chance held a Zoom reunion, and leading lady Demi Lovato was there too. Now, the cast joked about the pranks they pulled on some of our other favorite Disney Channel shows, and then also about those mandatory school hours that they shared together. On a more serious note, Demi Lovato shared what it was like having an eating disorder as a teenager while taping the series. Co-star Tiffany Thornton remembered how warm Demi's dressing room was because as Demi put it, she was underweight and freezing. Take a look.
When I went away to treatment for the first time, I remember like you were my biggest inspiration coming out of it, because you like dealt with all of those pressures of being a woman on TV. I looked at that as like, God, I wish I had that so bad. Like, yes, I probably like was happier in my head with like whatever I looked like at the time, but like I'm so much happier now, like with the mentality that you have.
And Demi is sharing that it's okay not to be okay. And that's our trend for you this week. Brian Stelter of CNN's Reliable Sources has shared some of the messages he's received from viewers. Some people are worried about what comes next, possibly losing their jobs or even losing their homes. It's important to remember that these feelings are okay during these tough times.
This moment's hard on everyone. That's why on last week's program I said it's okay to not be okay right now. It's okay. It's actually good to be vulnerable right now. We should talk about these things with each other and online and on TV.
Some ways of coping with these emotions are to just talk them out. Find a trusted friend, a family member, maybe a sibling, parent, former teacher, or another source that you feel comfortable with. Meditation can also center you in these tough times, and if you're a music person, Spotify has created a daily wellness playlist with music and podcasts that are tailored just for you and refreshes every day. Okay, all you cool cats and kittens, that's all the time we have this week on The Next Big Thing. If you have something big to share or want to be featured, comment below. Come back next week for more of your infotainment news. And remember, when you need the news that pops, I'll be here with The Next Big Thing. Tara Lynch, out.